Few things can enhance the quality, effectiveness, and safety of your lower body training like improving your ankle mobility. And in today's episode, I'm going to be teaching you my top tricks on how to quickly make this happen if it's something that you're struggling with. The first thing we have to address is any emotional hesitancy towards letting the knees go that far over, because like many of you, I was always believed, oh, knees over the toes, don't do that kind of thing, it's dangerous. Always squat and lunge as if you're sitting back in a chair, which wasn't totally wrong, but it was a little bit of a misunderstood concept. Nevertheless, it kind of promoted this idea that we're supposed to have vertical shins, therefore limiting how much flexion we have in our ankles. So all of our leg training kind of looks like this. So the whole knees over toes thing is not dangerous because of where the knees go. It's a lack of activation and support of the muscles in the back of the leg. If your hamstrings, your calves, and your hips aren't working well enough, then you kind of get this sort of thing when you're getting up out of chairs and stuff. And the forces around the knee are unbalanced because you've got too much force from your quads, not enough in the hamstrings to balance it out. So that's why, first and foremost, is make a daily habit whenever you're standing up out of a chair of, instead of kind of rocking forward and letting your hips come up, of pulling your knees forward with your hamstrings and your calves to stand on up. And of course, you don't need to make it that like apparent, like if you're getting up out of a chair for a meeting, but just think of like dragging your heels backwards. So that way you've got the activation in the back of the legs. It gives you the support and confidence throughout your knees, no knee stress at all, and it helps to make mobilizing that ankle more of a daily habit. Now, oddly enough, a lot of that ankle mobility isn't actually requiring any sort of special exercise or technique. It's literally just trying to use more ankle mobility all the time. However, as I said, a lot of that depends on the strength and ability to engage the muscles in the back of the leg. And I mean all of it, not just your calf, but of course your hamstrings and even your hips. You want your entire extension chain strong and mobile. That's why it's no coincidence that my calves are one of the biggest, strongest muscles I have, which also means my ankles are one of the most and almost only mobile joints that I've got. So that's another reason why I'm a big fan of the strap hamstring curls, because it uses all of those muscles, including your calf muscles, as you drive your knees up, hips are lifting upwards, and yes, it's a hamstring curl, but it's still making good use of those calves and your hips in a very strong, supported action. Recommend using this as part of warm-up before any leg workouts. And from there, it's simply a matter of just making that knees over toes, deep ankle flexion and mobility part of what you do with your leg training. For me, this is how I always squat, how I'm always lunging. Every time I'm getting down, it's always all the way forward, as much flexion, using plenty of mobility in the hip as well. So that's also a key part of it, is you're engaging the hip, coming down nice and deep. And for me, this is just how a squat is. Like, this is not a squat. This is not a lunge. Like, this is just half of a lunge or half of a squat. That is just proper leg training. I do sincerely hope that helps. Here's more videos here so you can practice that mobility with some lower body micro workouts, quick little workouts that'll work your legs in a very short period of time. And as always, thoughts and questions down below are welcome. Thank you very much for watching. Be fit and live free.